Our speaker today is Alex Menke. Born and raised in West Peoria and still proud to call it home, Alex Menke has built her career around a lifelong passion for animals and community service. She began her journey in animal welfare as a cat volunteer at a small private rescue, where she quickly discovered how addicting this work could be. Since then, she has gone on to work and volunteer at 3 different animal welfare organizations, gaining experience in shelter operations, community outreach, and hands-on animal care. Today, as shelter manager at Peoria County Animal Control, she is dedicated to improving outcomes for animals, supporting responsible pet ownership, and strengthening the bond between pets and the people who love them. Her commitment to both animals and her community continues to guide her work every day. Alex?
Thank you, everyone. Any chance I could switch over to the walkable one? I'm such a pacer. I have ADHD. Thank my mother, who is my guest today. She also has it. It's a wonderful family trait we all got. Oh, yes, no need that. All right, so my name is Alex. I'm our shelter manager. Our director, Becky, was originally supposed to be here today, but she had some other engagements, so you're very lucky you got me. I'm the funny one. So we're going to talk a few things today. Oh, sorry, he's switching between things. Am I ready?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll talk about a few things today. Of course, who we are, what we do, how we're funded. We'll break down the data a little bit. We'll talk about the partners that we work with and some challenges that we still face that drive us to continue forward. And then, of course, a little bit about how everyone here can help. So starting a little bit about, maybe.
Please hold.
Oh,
I'm getting there.
We'll wait
Sorry.
for you. It's okay.
How about now?
There we go. So we'll start a little bit about who we are. Obviously, we started out, you might remember us as PAWS, Peoria Animal Welfare Shelter, way back in the day. And that's because the city owned it. And they realized that the law actually says that the county has to have an animal shelter, the city doesn't. So they were like, oh, let's wise up here and let's move this over to the county. Let's get out of this because this is money costing. And so we moved over to the county. We became PCAPS, so Peoria County Animal Protection Services. A very long title just to say Peoria County Animal Control. But who we are is first, we're an animal welfare agency that is public safety first. That is going to be our main focus. So through a lot of the things we do, it's going to be about public safety. So compliance is key. Rabies registration and rabies vaccine, that's going to be a main thing that we do. And then we do enforcement as needed for those ordinances that we'll talk about. We also run an open admission shelter, which is actually really exciting because the Illinois law says you have to have rabies control. You have to have an animal control, but it doesn't say you have to do an animal shelter. So the fact that we get to take in animals and adopt them back out and do the spay and neuters, that's really big and that's really exciting for us. But it's also a big honor. So we kind of hold ourselves to a high standard there. And then we're also a resource center. We don't want your animals. We want you to be a good pet owner, and we're going to try to give you the resources to become a good pet owner if you aren't sure what that means, and we'll help you get there. So who we are first, we have a couple different branches, and we start with the animal control side. So that's going to be our officers in the field, our boots on the ground. We have a field supervisor that kind of controls all of those. And their first and main force is going to be our rabies control. So that is the main reason why animal controls got started, is to control rabies. And obviously here in Peoria County, we haven't had a positive dog or cat with rabies in almost 4 decades. And we like to keep it that way, which is why we make sure you're up to date on those rabies vaccines. But that doesn't mean our wild animal population doesn't see that. Here in Peoria County, our most common is going to be coming from our bat species. But we still have to sometimes test our raccoons, our possums, and we'll see that here. We also have them do investigations, and that can be from someone calling in as simple as a barking complaint to an abuse complaint, a neglect complaint. So they're handling all of those, and they're also doing enforcement. So every So the county has our ordinances, and then each municipality has their own ordinances. So they have to know everything. So when they cross from Peoria into Peoria Heights, they need to now know the difference and what they can and can't enforce, what that animal now needs to have if they're an outside animal or inside animal versus if they did in Peoria. So our officers have to know all of those as well. So we talked about rabies cases. So this is how important it is and why people still they might not think about it because we don't really talk about rabies. Well, we do, but people out in the community might not think about rabies as much as we do. But we had 57 positive bats in Illinois in 2024. And we had 4 right here in Peoria County. So that means 4 positive bats were in someone's home that we tested, so they were exposed. So that means they were in a living quarters with somebody. That means someone's pet was exposed. So how many people here probably hear this a lot? My cat lives indoors, it never goes outside, it doesn't need a rabies vaccine. How many people have said that and or heard that from a family member? Go ahead, raise your hand. Okay. What if, my own mother has said that to me and I'm like, Mother, I'm watching you. Yes, it's because bats get inside, and what happens then when that animal inside the home is not vaccinated for rabies and now they're exposed to a rabies positive bat, you're looking at a months-long process of quarantine, and you're looking at a very long shot series. And so that inside animal that never goes outside is now exposed to a deadly disease that can't be saved if things happen, if they do contract that virus. So even though that cat doesn't get indoors, we answer calls all the time of bats in people's houses. And I'm sure some people in here have had a bat in their house at some point or another. If you haven't, it's very fortunate. I've had a bat in my house. It's funny because it ended up on my boyfriend's Batman sign, and I had to take a picture before I safely got it out because I thought that was really cool. And he's like, "Get it out of the house." And I'm like, "Hold on, this is never going to happen again. A bat on a Batman sign. Hold on, I got this photo." And he's like, "But your staff, can you please just get this?" And I was like, "I will, but hold on." And then I had to send it to my boss. I'm like, "You'll never guess this." So the other thing we do is investigation work. So this is Loki. This was actually from 2018. This is a case that I helped work on. At the time I was inside the kennels. So all props to my officers. A lot of people think that animal control officers in the field get to work just like law enforcement, and we don't. We can't just go inside your house. We can't arrest people. We can't do a lot of those things that a regular officer can do. So our partnerships with our local law enforcement is really important. So this is Loki. In 2018, we received a call from a person just calling in and said, I saw this person beat their dog and throw it out of a moving car. So with their help and with witness statements and our officers being able to do their investigative work, we found Loki, who, as you can see here, was not in great of condition. So we worked with the Humane Society to be able to afford his medical care because we're a shelter on a budget. And so we helped with those donations. You can see right here, this leg is snapped in half. And so, yeah, we had to get Loki some medical attention. And we also had to make sure that authorities were ready to work with us to find this person and to work with us on that. So here's Loki about a year later. He spent time in foster home. We lost a leg. We had to grow our skin completely back because we had a lot of flea dermatitis. And we were able to happily say we were able to catch the person who did this, and they were able to get some jail time for that. Our stories aren't always this positive. Even with some really good evidence, we do see a lot of our cases thrown out in court, which can be really tough on our officers. So not only are they dealing with seeing cases like Loki a lot, but then they also have to deal with the heartbreak when they don't get to see that persecution all the way through. So sometimes it's a mental toughness that our officers have to go through. So this is another one that we worked with local law enforcement. It started out as a regular case of there's 2 small dogs. As you see, they keep piling on my screen here. It started out in Peoria Heights, a call of 2 stray dogs running at large. So we go out there and we see the 2 dogs and we see a lady trying to get her dogs. And so obviously we help her catch her dogs. And we started having a conversation with her. Hey, we offer free microchips. Let me microchip your dog so if they get out again, we can get them back home. And we do notice they're not up to date on rabies. We'd like to help with that. We start doing all the coaching conversations. And we noticed as we start to approach her house again, that there's a really bad odor and there's more going on. Well, now we have a hoarding case in Peoria Heights, and we have over 13 dogs, all with really bad medical conditions. One of them, he's kind of hidden now. this little guy right here, he actually loses an eye from a really bad eye infection underneath. So it's even in places that you don't expect, we have those hoarding cases come through. And we'll talk about our numbers of how many animals enter the shelter system. And when you have that, and then all of a sudden I get a call on the radio that says, hey, Alex, just to let you know, we're bringing back 13 dogs. It's like, oh, okay, time to quick plan. And I've got to get my medical girl on board, my medical coordinator, who's also with the eye dog that you see back there. And we've got to get ready to prepare because we don't know 100% what these conditions are coming in. All 13 of these dogs are placed in loving homes today. Even the one that lost their eye, and sometimes they come in really scared and they need other work, and then that's when I got to go to work on trying to find the best resources for each dog. And sometimes that means different rescues get involved with me too. We also do wildlife. So not only do I need to be very educated in all types of companion animals, lizards, cats, dogs, birds, bunnies, rabbits, guinea pigs. I need to know everything about what they eat, how to take care of them, temperature controls. I also have to be very educated in wildlife because we have to accept everything that comes through our door, and we have to be able to solve problems out in the field with that as well. So these guys on my very left, my raccoon and my two little squirrels, they're pretty easy. I just need to rehab them. They're too small to be out on their own, but they're pretty healthy. They just need a release date. We need to stabilize them, get them ready, prepared for the wild. Whereas my hawk friend right there, he was tangled up in a volleyball net. So we just had to work very carefully to avoid talons and our beak. So we can cut him free, make sure he can pass my health evaluation to make sure that he can fly off safely. Actually, recently, if you're a fan of Share, I just had a Junco sparrow. He's a native bird to Illinois, so I always want to rehab my natives. And she was in my office for a week. She came in from like an oil spill in a mechanic's garage. Got caught in the oil. She lost a lot of feathers during the cleaning process. I named her Sherilyn Sarkeesian because that's Cher's real name, if you know the singer Cher. So after a lot of rehab in my office and listening to many playlists of Cher, she actually had her first flight yesterday and was fully released. And so we do a lot of rehab of our wildlife rescue as well. Sometimes we just get into garbage and recycling, and we need to come back to see Alex for sedation and removal. And so he will be under surveillance of my medical coordinator while I sedate, get the can successfully off. We make sure he wakes up successfully and is monitored vitals, and then he can be successfully released. And we have easy stories like that. And then I will also get a call sometimes from my officers that says, Alex, I need a ladder. And I said, you need a what? So we had in this drain pipe, we had a raccoon stuck. So I've got to go up there with my officers and we successfully get him out of this drain pipe, kind of balancing. Obviously they're wild. They're not enjoying their experience of me being with them, right? So I've got to watch the mouth, the feet, the hands, and try to get them successfully just onto the roof so they can get away from me and be okay. He was fine. He didn't enjoy our time together as much as I did. I also have to be ready to take in a lot of other creatures. We also take in farm animals. Sometimes that means when someone goes and gets a baby pig because they don't realize that doesn't exist. And I bought this mini pig that doesn't exist. So then they bring it to me because, well, Alex, it's 100 pounds now. What do I do? And I'm like, you also live in the city of Peoria and aren't allowed to have pigs, so let's start there. So I have to be able to take in all of those as well. Sometimes the enforcement means this poor little dog up here, it's living conditions, so I have to send officers to enforce that. And you can't live like that. So we've got to take care of those as well. But that also means I have to successfully find places for those farm animals to go. So I do, luckily, my sister is on my side, and she fosters a lot of the pigs for me because it's very stressful. You have a barking dog next to you, and then you have a farm animal. That's not really a great place to house them. That's not stress-free. That's not giving them a 5-star service. So they usually end up with my sister. Her name is Tori. She runs TAPS. So they usually end up at her house while they wait because she has 2 pet pigs herself. And so, or they end up with me, and we work to find them homes for people that are actually sanctioned for pet pigs, who want pet pigs. Dr. Grimm and Pekin works with us to make sure that they are healthy and ready to go for adoption. Same thing with chickens. We've had goats. I have taken care of so many animals that I've had to learn what they need. So that's the animal control side, the law enforcement side. But I also get the privilege of running an open admission shelter. And it's easier said than done. So what open admission is versus a closed intake shelter is open admission means I have to say yes to everything. So you can walk in the door today with a horse and say, I am done with my horse. It is yours now. And I have to say thank you so much for this horse. Whereas our closed intake shelters, those are going to be our donation-based shelters, our closed intake shelters, like my sister who runs CAPS, where they don't have to accept everything that comes into their doors, right? So they typically they're not a stray hold facility. You can't just walk in with a stray, whereas I have to take all of those animals. So what that, here's some of all my friends from this year. Yes, I even take tortoises. Those are all my friends from late last year when we put this together. So with some of that means we've taken over 6,000 animals a year. So that comes out to be roughly 17 to 18 animals a day. That doesn't seem so bad, right? When you break it down like that. But where do you put them all every day? So that's what I have to figure out. And we'll come full circle and we'll look at some more things here when we talk about the partners that we use. That means constantly being creative to find different rescue partners to work with. That means working with adopters to make sure I'm finding the best fit for each adopter. That means working with surrenderers and trying to find creative ways to help them be better pet parents, to be able to keep their animal in their own home. That means helping people who tell me about their animal and I can tell that their animal is going to struggle in a shelter environment. So I give them tools and resources to help them rehome their pet on their own and be able to take their own application, because who's going to be better suited to find their pet a home than them, because they know all the ins and outs. They're telling me all these things on Tuesday the 4th, the siren goes off to test the siren and he hates that. And so you got to do this with them. Well, you're probably going to be able to find someone better than I can. So we work with them in those kinds of ways, which is how we've turned our back room into a resource center. Because we realize, so once a month, anybody who needs food can come to our shelter and we give out food. You're struggling to afford food, come see me. I can help you with that. Maybe you need a crate, maybe you need potty pads, you need a new collar, you need a new leash. You think of that animal supply, I'm going to try to find a way to get it for you. I've worked with Rover. So now if you need training services, you got a new puppy, or you got a cute little puppy and now it's becoming a teenager. It's in the 6-year-old month, right? The teenage stage. It's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I work with Rover now, so we can give you a $40 off coupon for training services. So I'm pulling out all these stops. I'm getting creative because I want to be able to empower you to be a good owner. And sometimes people are just uneducated. I didn't know they needed shots. I didn't know any of this. Well, here comes my resource center. Here comes all the places you can get really low cost shots today, because I know prices are rising, right? So here's all the places you can get an appointment today. I don't know how to make an appointment. Well, here, let's call them together. You're free on Tuesday? They can take you Tuesday at 2. Can you do that? So, we're working together. Well, I don't have a ride. Well, here's my list of cab services that take animals, because some places don't. Big Daddy Cabs is one of the places. You have to call them. These are the days that they transport animals in their cabs. So these are things I would have never known, because I've never needed those services. I've never had to use those services or wonder about that. But now I do, because there's people in my community that need that. And so I've gotten creative and I've been thinking of that. And so I've had a group of friends and they've started an organization called 4 Keeps, and they give away pet supplies and they work on those things constantly. So they're going out now with my business card that says free microchipping at PCAPS. We will microchip an animal and do free registration for your animal anytime, Monday through Saturday, 8:30 to 5 to 5. You don't have to live in Peoria County. I just need a picture ID and your animal, and I will microchip it so I can get it home for you. So those are some of the supplies we give, the services we do, intake prevention. So these are all the things. You need a tie out because you don't have a fence and you keep just letting your dog outside to potty without staying out there with it. Here, let me give you a free tie out. you have a pest in your yard or you have stray animals in your yard, here, let me give you a deterrent device so you can stop bringing me stray cats that are feral and do not want to be near me. You do have an outdoor animal and you did not look up the laws in your area. I know everyone has mixed feelings about outdoor pets, but there are municipalities that do allow it, but you have to follow their ordinances. Here, let me give you a doghouse. Right now we're giving out free straw to people who can't afford straw for their outdoor pets. We've got heated water bowls. What can I give you to make you a successful pet owner so we don't have to we don't have to intake your pet? So that also comes with, we talked about the microchipping. We also have this new spay and neuter truck that we got. So spay and neuter became, we all talk about it, the low cost spay and neuter. We all want to do that. We see the line out the door of wanting that. But the resources, especially when COVID hit, those resources of those spay and neuter clinics got really low. And we couldn't keep up with the amount of need. So I say we, but my director, Becky, wrote a lot of grants, and she was able to secure funding for our spay and neuter truck. So it's a surgical suite. So 3 days a week, we contract with a vet who comes in and does surgeries on our truck. So now, not only do we have our adoptable animals able to get their surgeries done, we can offer about 20, we hope to continue to increase it, but right now we can offer 20 low-cost spay and neuter appointments a month for the public. And right now the price is $50 for cats, $100 for dogs. That includes your rabies, your microchip. We also do TVNR, which is trap, neuter, vaccinate, return, and we'll talk about that in the municipalities that allow us to do that. So again, being creative to limit that number. So that's what it looks like when it arrived. Then we got it wrapped. That's what it looks like inside. It's got 2 tables. So literally our doctor's doing one surgery, he turns around and starts the other. So it's pretty cool. So in 24, we were able to do 1,300. 249 surgeries were just community pets. They weren't adoptable animals. They were people who need pets. Our doors open at 7:30 the first Wednesday of every month for sign up for those coveted spots. And by 6 o'clock, it's full. That's how much need it is. So many people tell us, well, no one wants their pets. It's so hard to get people to spay and neuter their pets. And there are people out there that really resist us on that. But when we see the line out the door at that time, like we haven't even opened the doors, I haven't even pulled in the parking lot, and I already can count the cars as I'm coming in and knowing that that's going to be full. I can tell you it's needed, and we're going to continue to push for more and more. So the ear tips, we ear tip our feral cats. So that allows people to know that these are outdoor feral cats. They do not want to be indoors with you, but they have been fixed. They've been vaccinated. They're safe to be outside. So we were able to do 213 in our first year, which is pretty outstanding because we didn't have a formal program. We were just working with trailer parks who reached out to us in the areas that allowed us to do it, the municipalities that allowed us to do it. And they said, please, please, please help us. This is getting out of hand. You can't move your car someday because there's so many cats. So this was an informal first year. So we're really looking for 2025. So again, these are all the services that I was talking about where we're trying to help you keep your pet or rehome them yourself. So getting into some of the data here, we talked about animal control the first part. So we contract with all the municipalities. They pay us for services. So City of Peoria, obviously, being our biggest, West Peoria, all the different cities around here, and they decide what we do. By law, we have to do bite reports in your area, and we do rabies. But the other stuff as far as picking up strays in your city, taking in your strays, going out on emergency calls, things like that, that's in your contract. That's what you're paying for. We have 5 full-time animal control officers, 1 supervisor, and they go on almost 13,000 calls a year. That's a lot of calls, right? And that's not even including all the calls that we don't go on. Like when people call, last year, the county changed the rules where we didn't go on cat calls if they weren't confined in a carrier. So if you called and you said, I see a stray cat, we didn't go on that call. So imagine the calls, they're continuing to rise even though we took out some of those services. My section, this is my babies right here, we had 3 full-time. We actually in 2025 got a 4th. And so we had 4 full-times, 2 part-times. And I can tell you, I wish there are some days we are still cleaning the shelter at 4 p.m. because that's how busy we are. So we can always, I wish I could get $1,000 billion and have like 6 more of them. There's only 4-time administrative assistants. They're the ones that are doing all of your rabies tag entering when the vets send in their rabies. When you get your rabies and you buy your tag at the vet, or maybe you don't buy your tag at the vet and you have to come see us in person. They're the ones handling all of that, organizing all of that data entry. They're the ones doing all of your bite report filing. They're the ones that are handling they're like your mini dispatch. When you call the county to report a call of a stray dog, a barking complaint, a neglect call, they're the ones on the other end of that line. So you see last year we took in over 6,000 animals. We are on track to do even higher this year. And that, unfortunately, 6,000 animals is the highest we've seen in a decade. And that's going to continue to rise, is the trend we're on. So how do we get our money? How do we make this happen? The biggest part, a lot of people like to say, is that we're out there just ticketing people for money. And that's not where our money comes from at all. The most of our money, you see that big piece of the pie, 53% actually comes from our rabies registration. So we just want you to be doing what the law says, which is getting your animals rabies vaccinated. That's how important it is to us. The rabies, like not having a cat or a dog with rabies prevention is so important to us. So that's why not only that, but it funds our shelter, but and then you buy your rabies tag, that registration in Peoria County. The next highest one you see is going to be your animal control contracts. That's your city's paying for us to come and pick up your stray dogs, to manage the shelter, to hold your stray dogs, to do your bite reports, to investigate those abuse cases. That's where you're going to get it from. So if you have, like for example, like Norwood or Elmwood, they don't have an animal care contract with us, so we can only do what the law states, which is bite reports and rabies. So if you're in Elmwood and you say, my neighbor is abusing his dog or whatever your call is, we actually can't go and investigate that because we don't have a contract there. So the city says that they take that upon themselves, which means we can only say, I'm so sorry, you have to call your sheriff's office. And then they get to deem if that's a priority for them or not. Your next is going to be like your donations and your grants. That's going to be your next pile of stuff that we do. This really small piece of the pie is your redemptions and your citations, right there, that little small piece. So we waive fees all the time. We're not out there like, you better give me $20 for that dog. That's not what we're here to do. We work with people. We don't want your dog. We want your dog in at home because that's where they're going to be the happiest, right? So most of the time we can work with people on those fees. We try to, those citations, we want to work with you. We work with education before we get to those fees and citations. But we do have to enforce the law, which is to have your rabies and stuff like that. So we're not out here to get you on these citations or these redemption fees. We're really not. We do have to have you follow the law. We're an enforcement agency. We do have to do that, but I'm not going to stand over at Mark and be like, you can't have this. You know, I'm not going to pressure you and shake you down for $20. You know, we want to work with you as the pet owner. Now, obviously, if you're, yes, please throw him $20. Now, if you're a nuisance pet owner and your dog has been here 12 times, there's going to be a point where maybe I can't waive fees for you anymore, and we're going to talk about it. Why do I have your dog 12 times, Mark? What's going on? You know, what's going on at home? Like, get it together, Mark. You know, like, let's talk about it. What's going on? Maybe, you know, did you get a hunting breed? Like, and you're not that way. Like, do you not have a fence and you let him out? Like, what's going on? So we're going to try to talk and work with you and
Just
try to
like
give you
dogs.
solutions. I don't know what's going on. Maybe we can get you a cat instead. Let's trade it in. I don't know what's going on with Mark. So we can see as our intake keeps going up, but this is kind of a picture of what it looks like of how the animals come into our shelter. The one part that is a little nod to my team, because we do this, is we do try to work with you. When I say no sometimes to people, I'm like, this animal's not for you. I'm not saying no, you can't adopt an animal. I'm not saying no to your application. I just want to work with you to find a better fit. And because of that matchmaking process, the actual like countrywide return average is like 5%. And ours is actually going down from 2% and 1%. And it's not because people don't return animals. People do return animals, look at that. But it's because we're working with you. Let's matchmake with you. You tell me that you like to lay on the couch all night and you want to adopt this husky that just ran 6 miles with my volunteer. Like that, see how the lifestyles match. So we pride ourselves in that. But the majority of the animals come in as strays. We do, and then surrenders. And then we have the confiscates. Those are, the ones that unfortunately we do have to take from their owners. And then, but stray is still going to be a big one, and that she didn't really categorize us by stray cat versus stray dog. But a lot of those strays are going to be we do still have a huge stray cat population in Peoria County. And then we, of course, stray dogs, surrenders. So there's still some work to do there at helping people get, to work on keeping their animals. And of course, there's always going to be situations where people can't keep their animals, right? Or sometimes you have an owner pass away and there is no family members that can take it on for whatever reason. You're going to get still some surrenders. So you have the confiscates, you have those little returns. The request, so we offer low-cost euthanasia for any member. You don't have to live in Peoria County. We want to help your animal no matter where they're at on their life's path and journey. So some people can't afford a vet's euthanasia fee. They can't afford those a vet bill. So we do have low-cost euthanasia at the shelter. You can call anytime one of us is there. So we do those. So you do see that in the pie because that's a service we offer. And then of course our wildlife pie, which is such a fun one for me. That's another reason I came back to open admission is because in closed intake, when I was in my smaller shelter, in my closed intake, you don't get to do wildlife, and I really enjoy wildlife. So this is our outcome. So you can see I still have a good chunk to do. We don't hide our numbers. You can find these on our website at any time. You can still see a good chunk of the pie is euthanasia, which is really tough, right? It's tough. And what goes into that decision? Sometimes it's a behavioral or medical assessment. So sometimes we get animals that are sick and injured. Sometimes they come in, they don't pass my behavioral assessment. Sometimes the euthanasia is a wildlife that isn't going to make rehab. So they can come in for different reasons. And especially before our TNR program, a good chunk of this too was our feral cats. We didn't have, our barn program is becoming more robust. So we're having more barns sign up for our barn cats. That's great for our feral population that they're not awful, but they definitely don't want to be a house cat. And what can I do with them, right? They don't want to be a house cat. But yeah, TNR wasn't allowed, so where was their option? People were trapping cats and just bringing them in. So what do? So working on our barn program, working on getting trap, neuter, vaccinate, return has really helped with those numbers. It gives us a positive and live outcome for our feral population. Our adoption numbers, that's how many we can adopt out. So those are steadily increasing, which is awesome. And then our transfer partners. We work with over probably 8 to 15 different rescues. All the way up to Wisconsin. We have an awesome rescue shelter from the storm all the way up in Wisconsin. We have many local Pet Pack, TAPS, and we'll see more of them. DB's Rescue in Bloomington, Cat Clovers Club, so many great organizations here in our area that also pull from us. And then of course the RTO, that just means return to owner. So we were able to reunite that animal with their owner. Microchips have been a big help with that, being able to do these free microchips, writing grant money and getting money to be able to provide microchips to everybody. We recently reunited a cat who had been gone for 2 months. That was a big one. And then we had 2 out-of-state microchips this year come in. People were traveling, found a cat in the neighborhood of the state they were traveling, brought them here to Peoria, decided they didn't want the cat anymore and surrendered them. I scanned them, I said, did you know they had a microchip? They said, no, what's that? And then I called the person. One was in Louisiana, and we had a volunteer meet her halfway because it was like a 10-hour drive or something, so they met halfway. And then we had another one that was Kentucky, and she actually she was like, I don't even want to risk it, I'm just coming straight to you. So we've had quite talk about states later, and they thought they would never see their cat again, and then they get a call from me from Illinois. And one lady was like, this is going to sound stupid, but how far is that? And she's like, I know that sounds stupid, but is that north of me? And I was like, yes, quite a bit. So we do have those. And then the died and disposals that you see, so release, that's going to be our RTO, our feral cats that we're putting back out there. And then our died or disposals, so those are when people, we also, if you have a pet pass away at home and you don't know what to do with it, you don't want to take it to a crematory, you don't want to bury it in your backyard, you can also bring it to me for free disposal. We have an incinerator on site. It's a group cremation, so there are no ashes to give back, but you can always bring it to me. So this is our length of stay. I just think it's always a fun fact. So our length of stay is going down, so we're finding happy outcomes for our animals faster. So that's always an important part, because if you've ever lived in a really tiny box, like our animals do, we also have to worry about their mental health, right? It's not just the physical symptoms, it's the mental health. So the shorter stay I can get the animals to, that's what I'm going to go for. Obviously, it's never going to be one day, right? Because they have to wait for spay and neuter appointments, things like that. But I keep getting it decreased, so I'm working hard. This is our data over the years, just another fun little thing that our animal intake continues. You know, we were on a nice downward trajectory, and then we do a nice big spike back up. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. So how did we get to where we are here in our just our mode of how we work? So we started out really enforcement heavy. Our citation numbers, things like that, we kind of hit that ground hard. Then we softly moved more towards education, and that's kind of still a thing that we're in now. We started educating our public a little bit more about what we do and how to be a good pet owner. Then we started offering more spay and neuter resources. We started tapping more into our transfer partners and explaining to them how important it is to help your closed intake shelters. Then we moved into also bringing back our foster programs just a little bit better. Our dog program is still on the slow regain. We kind of reformatted that a bit. But if you ever want to be a foster, hit me up. 309-216-9337. That's my work number. Write that down, tattoo it to your face. And then resources and collaborations. We want to work alongside. We just want us to all work together to be one big pet community. No one's the perfect pet parent. No one's the perfect rescue, right? But how can we all work together to make those better? So these are all the people that we currently work with. These are all of our local groups, our local animal shelters, foster-based, the Peoria Humane Society. They are the nonprofit version of us. So they do all the education in the schools to teach people about animal kindness. They do a lot of food pantries and supply giveaways. 2 minutes, I'm gonna do so good. And then that's our animal hospital that we work with. So all these things that we do, we're trying our best. All the things that they do, so proud of them. Also the cat cafe, do you know we have a cat cafe? Raise your hand if you've been there. Come on, you guys. So anyway, proud of you, please go. It's on University Street. They use our cats, so we work with them. We supply the cats, and Holly, their owner, is the best ever. Because she partners with us. So they did over 300 adoptions in their first year, which is really impressive. So we do all the things, then they go there. It's like having a second colony room, so it expands how many people we're allowed to have on the adoption floor by 20 cats, because they can hold up to 20. I get an iced tea with cotton candy flavoring. Yeah, everyone else has the same expression when I say that.
Is that River Kitty Cafe?
Yeah, River Kitty Cafe. So these are the challenges that obviously we still face. Is ordinance barriers for trap, neuter, vaccinate, return. The city of Peoria is still one of the only cities holding out on me that won't let me do it. Obviously, we're still looking for more vets that allow me to get more spay and neuter surgeries, because as I told you, we sell out of those 20 spots really fast. We want more spay and neuter surgeries. Our community is begging for low-cost vet care, and we're going to keep working on finding ways and more clinics. We only do 2 rabies clinics a year. We're looking for ways to expand that and also offer more services at those clinics. So we take everything. So you can adopt, you can volunteer with me. If you think I'm funny here, you should see me at the shelter when I don't have to be as professional. I give out Alex dollars. They don't mean anything, but I give them out a lot. You can foster with me. I'm a hoot and a half. You can ask my mother. And you can donate with us. You can be an advocate with us. Just share my post. Honestly, just go to my Facebook page and share my post and be like, please, someone adopt these animals, because she's gonna go crazy. And any questions for me? Oh, I see we've got one question.
Where is your facility located?
Oh, here, Tom.
Where is your facility located? And do you ever deal with reptiles?
Oh, yes. 2600 Northeast Perry Avenue. It's by the Woodruff High School and Glen Oak Park. And yes, actually, our snake bracelet just went home. My mom hates snakes. Pretend she didn't hear that. And we get bearded dragons, lizards of all sorts. You name it. Yes.
Is it true that it is illegal to kill a bat?
In your own home, yes.
Okay.
Technically, yes.
We did have one. We safely escorted it out of the house
Yes.
after about 3 or 4 hours, but I was really tempted to go the other way.
I understand the frustration. Besides my picture taking, it does take, now that I deal with them all the time, I'm just like, come on, little guy. But yes, because they are, and especially because of the disease potential they share, we don't want other animals to feast on them if they were to have rabies, and now you have hawks with rabies. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have a quick question.
Yeah, bring it on.
I didn't see anyone else's hand. I'm assuming that you probably have many repeat offenders with confiscation.
Yes.
Just from seeing something in my own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Do you have data on that? And then what happens after repeat confiscation?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different laws, and that is actually one of the most frustrating things sometimes with that, is because different types of confiscation leads to different routes. I don't have the data on how many like repeat offenders and things on me, but you can be declared a nuisance owner. After so many different types of tickets, you can actually be declared a reckless pet owner, where you can't own pets for 3 years in Peoria County. And so there are different revenues in that area. The one hard part we would like our neighbors to do is report. So also take pictures of everything you see. Send it in to us, because sometimes we need more evidence in front of a judge. Sometimes we'll present certain things like they've had 4 violations this year, and the judge will say, but these violations don't seem that bad, thank you. You know, and so sometimes, yeah, we need neighbors to participate. And that can be tough too, because you don't always want a bad deal with your neighbor.
I have heard that armadillos have worked their way up into Illinois. I've got a home in Tennessee and have to deal with those. Do you foresee them getting this far north?
We haven't heard anything from the Department of Ag at this point. Usually they'll let us know if we need to be on the lookout for something. We do have, we have had some people try to keep them as pets before. But we have not had like an official thing from the Department of Ag of, hey, these things are moving your way. Usually they'll let us know if we are seeing a big in-sweep of an animal that is not typically native to where we are and what we need to do about it.
One more.
Okay, last question. My neighbor had a coyote living under her porch, and you refused to come and do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So our wildlife things like that, the Department of Ag actually doesn't allow us to come out for things like that. So they're wild nature. So the only thing we can do is to offer you like deterrent and tell you to look up like ways to migrate them from your yard. But they're, yeah, so like the protected species and things like that, when it comes to like Department of Ag, they live here way before humans. So they're going to tell us hands off. So we can't come get it because they live there. Where would we release it? Right next door is what they would tell us. So unless it's like severely injured where it's got a obvious broken leg or bleeding or something like that, the Department of Ag is going to tell us to mind our own business. Yeah, so that's going to be the hard part when we have like bobcats, coyotes, wolves, just kidding, we don't really deal with those, but any of those that are native to Illinois, they're going to tell us kind of like mind your own business. They lived here before you. So you can look up ways to migrate them from your yard and to like deter them from coming around your yard, but they're not going to let us do anything about those because they lived here first. A good fun one for like if you have like a lot of cats or like raccoons, things you can put out like coyote urine, wolf urine you can get offline. That's a good deterrent because it's, or even with other coyotes, because it smells like a predator is already there. So they'll go find a different land. So You know, you can order coyote bait. It's synthetic, but it's got the same properties. It's synthetic. They didn't go like milk a coyote for it, but it's, you know, but it does help. Because it already makes it seem like a predator's there. They'll move along for a different space. Yeah.